So what I'd like to go over is the Vlookup function, and we're going to go over some other concepts listed in the blue box here. The idea here is that you want to be able to find certain data in a data range, and maybe you only have a little bit of information. So for instance, let's say you only know the store number and you want to be able to find the company name and the premium for this example. So the idea here is, like, if we wanted to put the company name here, what the system would do is it would go over and look at the data range, go down to 133, and then it would go over 2 columns to company name and pull in the company name. And then later it would go over 7 columns and pull over the premium. So that's what the VLOOKUP function does, and it's pretty easy to complete. So you just hit the equal sign and then hit VLOOKUP, and when you see the function there, you can hit the tab key for it to autocomplete, and then it's going to ask for the different arguments. So the lookup value, we're just going to arrow over to the left and get the A5, which is 133. We're going to hit a comma. And then we want the table array. So what is it going to look through? So I'm going to go ahead and highlight store and company all the way down through this data. And then I'm going to hit a comma. And then the column index means how many columns in from the left-hand side do we want to go. So we want to go from the store to the company name. So it would be 2. And then finally, we want the range lookup type. So we are dealing here with an exact match. You can also do approximate, but for our cases, we want it to only pull data that it finds exactly. So we're going to go ahead and use the tab complete as well, and then just hit enter. And what we should see is the del come over from the company name. So then if we wanted to copy that down, we can just do Control C and highlight the rows below. The next thing we want to do is, we don't want all the borders and stuff to come down, so we're just going to paste the formulas only. And we're going to notice some weird things happen here. So I'm going to hit escape. What happens is, if we look at these formulas down here and we hit F2, it'll show that the range is actually moved down because it's a relative range. So that's not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to adjust this function so that it has absolute references just for the row. Okay? So the way you do that is you go up to the formula bar, you click on the reference, so in this case it's F8, and a trick that you can use is hit the F4 key, and it will cycle through the different absolute reference types that you want. So we just want it to be anchored on row 8, and then we want it to be anchored on row 26. So we'll hit F4 here again, and then we can hit enter. So now when we copy that function down, it's basically going to keep that same rows. So we'll do paste formulas, and now we'll see all that data, and we'll hit escape to get out of the paste. So now we see all the functions. So a trick to get away from using absolute or relative references is to use named ranges. So what we're going to do for the premium is we're going to highlight this range, and we're going to go up here to the top left, and we're going to name that store data and hit enter. So now that's a named range, so we can select it through here, and we can select that, and so we can also use it in formulas. So we're going to do the same thing for premium here. We're going to hit equals VLOOKUP. We're going to use tab complete. We're going to arrow over to the 133 cell A5. We're going to hit comma, and for the table array, we're just going to start typing store data, and when we see it, we'll hit tab. So it knows to look at that range of data. We'll hit comma, and now we just have to count. So it's 7 columns from the left hand side. And what's important to know is, when you're doing a VLOOKUP, you always have to have the data that you're looking up on the far left side of the range. So we're going to say 7 here, and again we're going to do an exact match and hit enter. So then what we're going to want to do is copy that range down, and we don't have to worry about absolute or relative references. And again, we'll paste the formulas only. And then we'll go ahead and hit escape to get out of the copy paste. Now, since these are formulas over here on company name and premium, we can go ahead and change the store number, and we will get the results of that lookup. So if I make this 155, it goes over and finds 155 in the data range, and then goes and grabs Microsoft and the 135,000. And if we make it 188, it goes and finds Staples. So that's the power of the VLOOKUP. What's also interesting is the data range can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be on the same spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be on the same tab. It can be on a different tab or a different worksheet. It can even be in a different workbook. As long as the formula range is referenced properly, it should work fine. So another thing that happens is if you put in this case, a store number that doesn't exist in the data range, you get n/a. So what that means is that in the data range, this store number does not exist. So you can use that if you want to find out if certain data exists in certain lists. And that's a very powerful tool. So the last thing I want to bring up is that a lot of times you'll do these VLOOKUPs and you only need it to do it one time. You don't need to keep the formulas there in the spreadsheet. You just need to do it one time to grab the information, pull it over, and then you just need to leave it there and just not let it recalculate. So in this case, we don't really want these to be all VLOOKUP formulas. We just want them to be the end result, the values. So we're going to highlight everything and hit Control C, and then we'll go up here to paste and we'll do paste values, values only. And so now, and hit escape, and then now these are just actual data. It's not formulas. So hopefully that explains VLOOKUP, and as always, knowledge is power.